Hi there, I'm Marcus Rosenthal. I'm here interviewing Amy Weiss, the organizer of St. Francis Homelessness Challenge.
You got it.
I got that. We're here at Box City, and just want to start off finding out what is Box City.
So I started St. Francis Homelessness Challenge about a year ago. We're fiscally sponsored by the nonprofit Intersection for the Arts. And one of the main focus for the St. Francis Homelessness Challenge is to work on interim solutions to improve livability and organization and safety for people living in encampments on the street, and then also the surrounding communities. And the real focus for us is how do we provide people with secure sleep, with access to toilets and sanitation services, and pathways to transition while they're living in encampments. And so about 2.5 months ago, I got an email and a call from an SFPD officer named Yvonne Molinen, and she had heard about my work, and she asked if we could bring out a porta potty here to Box City. And this is an encampment of about 20 to 25 people, and most people here have built their own structures. They don't have tents, but they have secure sleep structures where they can sleep at night and have storage. About 20 to 25 people or so. And
that's
so
like some of the ones that we can
yeah.
see here.
Yeah. Yeah. And hey, Eddie. And so yeah, we're working on the organizing aspect with residents, and really that's the key to addressing homelessness in San Francisco right now, is to organize with residents in encampments, not to treat them as a problem to be solved, but to work together to solve the problems that we're all facing.
And how did this all start? I mean, I guess there's both the St. Francis Homelessness Challenge and Box City. So
right. So Box City this is a grouping of people that have been here probably somewhere between 6 to 8 months, something like that. And like I said, I got a call to come out here and see if I could bring a porta potty. And so it was September 15th of this year that I got that call. And I came out that night on my bike and met up with a couple people here. And I'd actually met a couple of the residents here when they were over on Division Street. And a lot of people remember the Division Street sweeps from about a year ago or earlier this year. And that's what happens when you just push people around, is that it becomes another neighborhood's issue to deal with. Maybe we push it out of the Division area, but it's going to pop up somewhere. The thing is, you can't throw people away. And so the idea of removing people, you still have to figure out how are we going to help people be on a pathway to transition. And it ends up being a lot cheaper to work with people and figure out organization and support than it does to just ignore the problem, let it pile up, have police come and just respond to 311 calls. We waste tens of millions of dollars a year of just having police response without any services. That's why it was so cool that police officer asked me to come out here and put the porta potty. Right. And that was a really big step forward, and the Chronicle covered it. Should it be front page news? Hey, should it be front page news that we have a porta potty available to people living on the street? I don't think so. That's the world we live in right now.
Yeah, that's sad. So what do you plan to do with this campaign?
So this campaign, the Hand Up campaign that we have right now, is really about raising funds to be able to get the materials to build more structures. And Box City is pretty full at this point. We have added a couple structures here and replaced some tents, but they were more basic designs. Now we're working with someone, a friend of mine, a collaborator named Moksha, and he designs these amazing structures. We're calling them transitional sleep and storage shelters. And we've already created about 4 of them. 2 of them right now are at Carolina Street, and one of them's over in an encampment called the Snake Pit that's a couple blocks away from here. And so we want to be able to help people transition out of a tent into a secure sleep and storage shelter, and then help them transition from that shelter that's mobile into indoor shelter and housing.
And the shelter is like about what size? I know there's pictures of it on the same campaign.
It's 5
like a cool
feet
design.
by 8 feet by 10 feet. And that's one of the key things about these structures, is people can stand up in them, and there's also the way that they're designed in the interior. There's a place for you to sleep, and there's also a storage area, and it allows you to stand up. And sometimes when people have seen these like very makeshift models of these box structures, they say, oh, how can you have someone sleep in a doghouse type of thing? And what's really interesting is that now, but keep in mind, it's not a doghouse to someone who's sleeping on the ground and or in a tent. It's actually a step up. And so, you know, check your privilege about that. If you're saying, oh, why would someone want to sleep in this? It's like, well, no one wants to sleep on the ground or in a tent either, so it's a step up. But what's interesting is now we have these beautifully designed structures by Moksha. They cost $653 for the materials. Moksha did his own fundraising campaign for the labor. We have volunteers helping out with labor too. And sometimes people are saying, well, they're too nice. You know, these structures are too nice, you know, but they are beautiful. And I'm a big proponent of form and function coming together. You know, Buckminster Fuller is a fan of mine, and I'm a fan of his. And I wish maybe from up above he's looking down at what we're doing. But you know, I'm a big fan of that idea of you know, form and function, and working with what you have and making it more and more beautiful.
Yeah, and it's an interesting design challenge. I know you posted something about over there up in Oregon or something.
Right.
Someone was doing something like that as well.
Yeah, and in San Jose, they're doing a design challenge for these transitional shelter structures. San Francisco, the Department of Homelessness is in the beginning stages of developing one of these design contests to be able to try out different models. And in San Jose also, they have something, oh, the train's going to go by in just a second. We're right by the Caltrain's tracks and under the 280 freeway. I don't know if you want to show that, but you'll hear it in just a moment. Here we go. Here's the train. There it goes.
We're not quite taking over residences that most people want to live in because of that.
Yeah.
30 feet from the train.
There's a reason why people came out to Box City, because it is more tucked away. Now we have over by 16th Street, we have the 1010 Potrero apartments, and there are some people that are complaining now about certain aspects of what's going on at Box City, but that's the thing that we want to work together with the neighbors and with the residents of Box City to make sure that those pain points are being addressed. And we do care about what the neighbors are saying. Like one of the things is, you know, sometimes people are blocking parking spaces or making noise late at night. You know, those are things that I have worked with residents to try to address, and it's still a work in progress. It's still a work in progress.
But you're really working with the residents to kind of, you've worked with them to kind of set a set of rules that are kind of what they'll all adhere to that really they've written. Correct?
Yeah, we work together to create these good neighbor agreements, and what makes it challenging is that, let's say we were able to get some land either from the city or a private developer. Hit me up if you know anybody who has that connection, because the Department of Homelessness said they'd work with us to create one of these as a sanctioned village. But what we're doing is working with the existing encampments to make them better, and so it's a little harder to come into already existing situation and then impose rules or agreements. But what we'll find is that the people who live in encampments a lot of times are frustrated because it's really hard to have accountability for individual residents. The majority are working together, trying to keep things organized. There might be 2 or 3 people that aren't working together. And my goal is to not have a punitive approach to people who aren't following those rules and agreements, but to actually have a reasonableness around it and help people have success. So how do we help people be successful with living cooperatively, living in collaboration, living in these very unique conditions, which is a lot like Burning Man in a sense, right?
Yeah. And I know from talking with some of the residents here, it seems like, you know, they would much prefer having their own space that's secure to lock, as opposed to trying to go into a shelter where it's just a big room of a bunch of beds. You know, they have to be quiet by a certain time. None of their stuff is secure. They don't have a sense of like their own space and home.
Right.
And that's what, even just with these little tiny structures, it does give them that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's your vision of where you'd like to see this go within a year or even 5 years?
Oh, yeah. So, I've been doing this organizing work with Fox City encampment, where there's 20 to 25 people. Over on Carolina Street, there's about 20 people. Over at the Snake Pit, there's about 20, 25 people. I would like to get a budget so that there could be 30 people doing the same kind of thing that I'm doing as an organizer and a community liaison, working with the residents in the surrounding community of housed neighbors and local businesses. So there's only right now, according to the DPW, somewhere between 80 to 100 encampments in San Francisco on the street that are visible, that have 2 or more tents. And so there's not 500, there's not 1,000, there's 80 to 100. So if you were to hire 30 people, or even do this in an organizing capacity with volunteers, we could spread out over the entire city, work with residents who are on the street to identify who's there, how to support basic needs of sanitation, security, all that stuff, address the neighbors' needs around there, and get people on a path to transition. That's a key piece of this, is we want to get people on a path to transition. So I would like to expand that organizing piece, and then I would like us to have the approval from the city and private landowners who have underutilized land to be able to have sanctioned villages of these transitional sleep and storage shelters. And that will be a lot easier if we're starting from scratch, to be able to say, here's what the agreements are moving in. I believe in a democratic, collaborative style of leadership, so everything can be adjusted. I'm also a situationalist, and so if there's someone who has special needs, we can work with people. We want people to be successful. But this is going to prepare people to transition off the street. The work that we're doing with residents, with the St. Francis Homelessness Challenge in Box City, is preparing people for that. We're doing a lot of legwork for the city for free, really, because I have a list of everybody who lives here. I have lists of people who live at Carolina Street who want to be able to transition. So this is the good work that needs to be done, and it can be creative, and it can be community building. It can be something that we take pride in as a city, that we're doing this kind of work, because there are many people like you and I that want to be able to tap into this and get involved. And it's as simple as this. It's as hard as this, getting organized and interacting with people.
And the concept of transitional housing and kind of helping, residents in these sorts of encampments transition into something better is what has really kind of interested me and drew me in to want to help this project. And so that's what I think, that effort, as opposed to just giving them just pure money or resources or somewhere to sleep, is really understanding what does it take to help these people get back on their own, where they're an independent person and can have a job and a home that they pay rent or maybe even own one day.
And one of the things, we just had Nathan Woody out here from the Yellow Bike Project a little bit earlier, and the goal is to be able, there's a lot of people here who have repair skills and building skills, bike building skills, and so what we're trying to do is to get a legit business here for people who are working to repair bikes and to get income that actually benefits the community. So these are all the pieces of a comprehensive approach. Is first of all treating people just like human beings and speaking to their potential and
train again.
Yeah.
Cheer for the train.
Train. And then figuring out ways. Here we go. Figuring out ways to get community beneficial income for folks, and also on that path to transition. So where do you want to go from here? Do you want to go to an SRO, a studio? How is that going to happen? How can we work to connect you with those resources? And then also, generally in encampments, you have the majority of people that are really contributing, trying to make it organized and be supportive. And then for a variety of reasons, there's maybe a small percentage, like out of a encampment of 20 people, there's like 3 people that have like mental health issues or substance abuse issues or whatnot that make it hard for them to be successful in living cooperatively. And so doing this organizing work, we found a few people that need extra help and that self-identify as needing extra help. And those are the people that we should be using our precious resources of indoor shelter and housing to help first.
Support those, yeah.
Because believe it or not, it's like there are people that have a great community experience living on the street right now, even though it's not ideal and it's hard and they would choose something else most likely. But
others don't want them there.
Yeah, but the community that's here, I truly feel privileged to be a part of this community, and I've expanded my community in San Francisco by coming to Buck City and meeting all the people and working with them over the last 2.5 months. I feel like, this is part of my family now.
Great. And then how can people help? So, this is outreach to people.
Hello.
Anywhere.
So we're really hoping that people help us raise more funds. It costs $653 exactly to be able to put together one of Moksha's designs. And so if you could do some fundraising with friends to gather enough funds for $653, that actually builds a structure for people. And I have a list of people that are wanting to be able to transition from tents into structures, ultimately into housing. So that's the way it works. If you could spread the word about boxcitysf.com, stfrancischallenge.org, we're on Facebook. You can follow what we're doing that way.
And then what if they want to actually roll up their sleeves like we're doing? So I came and helped set up a shower last weekend, and we hauled out 2 truckloads of trash.
Right.
What other ways do you see that people that are local to San Francisco?
Sure. So that's where, go to stfrancischallenge.org and sign up on our newsletter, and I put out information when we have volunteer events, or on the Facebook page, St. Francis Homelessness Challenge. You can find out about when we have events coming up. Those are the 2 main ways. We also have a survey that you can take that it's a quiz online to test your knowledge. You took that, right?
I didn't take the.
You didn't take the quiz.
Yeah,
You're going to take the quiz. But St.
I was
Francis.
worried of failing.
Well, it's okay, because all we ask you is, have you heard about this before? Because we present 10 facts about homelessness in San Francisco, and then you say, oh, is this new information? Did I learn this? Is this challenge something that I heard? And that's a good way if you hear someone spouting off misinformation about homelessness. You can say, oh, go to stfrancischallenge.com, take this quiz, learn a little bit, and that'll also plug you into certain volunteer opportunities.
Okay, great. Well, thank you.
Yeah.